So for the second part, we need to make the models. So what is the meaning by models? So the models here is to create the table. We call it table. Usually in the database, okay, we will create a table. So in this model or in this table, you can make it into the models.py. So in the models.py, yeah, here is the code. So we are going to import the models, and we are going to use the Django.db. So let's see. I will copy and paste this one into the models.py. So if you look at this one, actually this is the same with the table like this. So we have the salutation. Salutation. In English, we have the salutation means we want to call someone with Mr., Miss, or maybe we can call someone with professors, doctor, something like that. First name. So this is another attribute. Last name. This is another attribute. And then email. So you can see here the salutation, it will be a model from the models which use char field. Yes, char field. What is char field? Char means character. Yeah. Char field means this character field. And the length is 10. 10 means we have 10 characters. What is the other? This char field length is 30. So it means we have 30 characters. This length is 40. So we have 40 characters. For email, we use email field. So there's a specific email field. Usually we use this one to indicate the email with @ So something with @ it is email. So you can check if you want to create another, let's say, numbers, okay? Numbers. So numbers is models dot, okay? You can see integer field. So it is using integer. Or you can use different kind of fields. Yeah, integer field. Or you can use date field. It means related to date, null chart. So there are many kind of field you can use. I cannot explain everything. Yeah. You can use Boolean field and etc. So yeah, date field, count, date time field, decimal field. So there are so many like file path field, foreign key, and so on. Okay, so there are so many things for the database. So I cannot teach you all those things by today, but let's look at only this form. Okay. Now, after I have this one, yeah, we can see that this is a kind of database, something like this one. So this is the entity name, which is member. And then we have the salutation, which has the char field 10. This is the first name character, which have the length 30. And this is the last name with the character field with the length 40. And this is email. So I give the explanation. If you use the model here, so it is the superclass. So we use the model from the Django. I hope that you understand the OOP at this moment. OOP is from the object-oriented programming. And then, because this model is a class in the models Python file. So we call this is the superclass. So the character field, so it is the data type with the character type. Date time, it is the date time data type. Integer field, it is the integer data type. URL field, it is the URL type. Foreign key, so it is to determine the relationship with another table and so on. Okay, so there are still so many functions and data type in the models. So today we are going to learn only those char field and email field. After you have those things, we can put the role in the admin as follows. So I can copy this one. We have the admin.py. So we have the admin.py. When you click the admin.py, let me just paste with the new code. So I want to make the admin, and in this admin, I would like to use from models. Models means this is from the models.py, and I want to call the member. So member is the class name. So member is the class name. And I want to put the member into the admin side. So I want to register the member into the admin side. And after I register that one, now I need to do the make migrations. Since there are some changes on the database, we need to do the migrate again. And before we do the migration, we need to run make migration. So let me just use this one. So I can open the terminal. So in the terminal, let me copy and paste. And now it shows that the member has been created. So you can see here, create model member. So it means the member has been created, and you can see in the user MGMT, you can see from this file. So there is another file 0001 initial.py, and in this file, there is a kind of class name. We call it the class name is migration, and it creates the model. So the model is the name is member, and there are several fields. ID is the ID, and then it is automatically generated by the SQLite. And then there's also salutation, first name, last name, and email. So this is based on the definition that we already used in the models.py. So after we have this, after you do the make migration, now let's do the migrate again. Okay, let's do the migrate again, and you can see that now the user MGMT has been initialized. So after you do this one, now let's run the project. I will run the project. After I run the project, you can go to this link, and then as you know, you can see this first page of Django. Now you can go to the admin side. Admin. And you can enter your username. So if you can enter this one, the one that I have mentioned before, I created a super user. So the username is user, and the password I just created before is HAFIME203. Then I can go to this admin, and then I can see there is an app, user MGMT, and then there's also this is a kind of database. Okay, this is members. You can add data or you can change the data. So if you click this one, then yeah, now we have nothing. We have no data. So that's the meaning by the Django administration. So we have the user MGMT. Now let's see. Let's just make a new data. So with the new data, let's insert a new data. For example, I want to add a new person. Name is AABB. So the salutation is Mr. and the email is abc@abc.com. So I will add, okay, let's say this is Mr. And the first name is AA, and then the last name is, let's say, BB, and then the email is abc@abc.com. So let me save. So now there is a new object. So this is the object of Mr. AABB. And the email is abc@abc.com. Okay. So that's about the model in the Django. So we create the database, and then we can put the data into the database. And one way to put the data into the database is using the administration side. So let me just return back to this one. It means we already finished until this time. So you start a project, and then you do something on the settings, and then you do the migrate, create the super user, start app, settings.py. And then you modify the table, you set up the table into the admin side, and then you do the migrations, and then migrate one more time, and then you put the data into the database. Okay, so this is the flow to create the data into your Django. After you do this, now the remaining is the same with what you did last week and last 2 weeks. So we need to create the logic. It means we need to make functions in the fuse.py, and then we need to do something on the urls.py. So we want to show it into the web, and we want to make the HTML. Okay, so let's do with this tree like what we did last time. We call this is the template coding. Okay, so the template coding means to show into the HTML. Now, in the fuse.py, in the folder user mgmt, let's write the function below. I hope by now you know that we usually use the HTTP response redirect, or we can also use the render and redirect. So in this case, we want to use render to update the HTML file. And now we are going to use the member. Member means this is the member database that we have. And this member is from the user mgmt.models. So this is the query. So the query is to set up the objects, and we want to see all the objects from the members. Okay, let's see. I will create this one into the views.py. So in the views.py, we have one function. And then same with the last week and last week, we need to set up the path in the urls.py. So in the user mgmt folder, let's create a new Python file, which is urls.py, and then copy and paste this one. So I need to make a new file in this user mgmt. This is new Python file, urls.py. And then I need to make the path. So when I go to this path, I will call the list members. That is the function to show all the members. So we want to get the member, which is the table, and objects means I want to check all the data from this member. Yeah, all. So it means I want to see all the data. After that one, we need to set up the code in the urls.py in the parent folder. So add the code in the urls.py in the parent folder, like this one. So in this case, in the urls.py in the parent folder, this one is the parent folder. So I can add one more. So if I go to member path, I would like to include the user mgmt.urls. It means I want to include the, where's the file? urls.py. So I want to use this file whenever I go to this path. Okay, I hope you still remember this one. And include, it is error because in the import, you need to also make the include. Okay. So I want to include this user mgmt.urls. And then if I go to this URLs, then I will go to this path. If there is nothing on the path, then I will go to the list members, which is the HTML file under the folder user mgmt. Now, yeah, we have this one. Call the urls.py in the apps user mgmt when the user click the URL member. Now, I will just make it very simple for this. So the HTML file I want to create with this one. Create a new directory user mgmt in the folder templates. So I will make this in the folder templates. Let me make a new folder directory with the user mgmt. And then in this folder, I will make a new HTML file. Create HTML file named listmembers.html. Okay, so in the user mgmt, I will create a new HTML file, list members. Now let's just copy and paste this one and let's see the result. So I can run this. Then you can see the table, member list. ID, salutation, first name, last name, and email. Okay. So the explanation. So there are some ways to deal with the HTML files. So in the views.py, we use the render. Last time we used the get template. So when you use the render, it means you will connect directly to the HTML file. You can also use the get template. Last time we used the get template. Yeah, this is just an alternative. We look at this one. Yeah, now I'm using render in this case. But the previous weeks, last week and last week, we use get template. So this is just an alternative. And then we define the context here. So the context here, I want to mention that the members that we have here is the result from looking the data from the database. So we have the database, which is, you can see, this is the data that we have. There's one object, and the object is Mr. AABB ABC at abc.com. So there are two additional aspects that we learn from the example. The first is the form and design. The forms, there is a class member form. It is necessary to automatically build the form according to the built-in model. And to connect the model, it is required to build the class meta. So we will look at this one. And the design, we use the design from the Bootstrap. Just for the simplification, we use the CDN. CDN means the Content Delivery Network. So CDN is a geographically distributed network for proxy server and their data centers. So in this example, we utilize the CDN of Bootstrap. So I just use this one from the Bootstrap. So if you look at the code, yeah, I think by now you already know this is the header and this is the table. This is the table header, ID, salutation, first name, last name, email. And this is the data from the members. So we have the member.id, member.salutation, member.first name, member.last name, member email. And then we do this one for the data in the database. In this case, this is the for loop. If you want to look at this result, actually you can also do like print members. So if you do the print members, let's say I do refresh in this case. You can see here, there's a query set. There's a query set, the member equals to member object 1. So now we are getting the object 1 and then we want to show it into the web. Now let's look at the CRUD. Okay, what is CRUD? CRUD stands for the word C-R-U-D. C-R-U-D. C is the create, R is read, U is update, and D is delete. So CRUD are the 4 basic functions in any computer programming. So the acronym CRUD refers to all the major functions that are implemented in the relational design. And each of the letter can map to a standard SQL. So SQL, if you learn in the database, you will know about the SQL. And this is also a standard for the HTTP, Hypertext Transfer Protocol. And this is also the letter that is a standard in DDS, Data Distribution Service. So for example, in the SQL, if you want to create, so you can use the word insert. In the HTTP, when you want to make a new data, you can use put or post. If you are using the DDS or the data distribution service, you will use write. When you want to read in the database, you can use select. When you use the HTTP, you can use get. And when you use the DDS, you can use read or take. When you update, you can use update. If you use the HTTP, you can use put or post or fetch. For the DDS, you will use write. And if you want to delete or you want to destroy, then you can use the word delete. And then you use delete and you use dispose for the DS. So this is just the basic one. And we are going to do this one with the basic create, read, modify or update and delete. So this is the CRUND. So CRUD in Django, actually there are so many things, okay? But I will simplify it into the very basic CRUD for the member registration. So you can look at these Django packages for CRUD. So in this lecture, we will learn basic CRUD using models provided in Django. So if you want to do more things, yeah, you can refer to this Django package. And so there are so many packages like Django CRUD, Django Beam, Django CRUD Builder, and so on. But I will not explain all those things. Now, for this purpose, I would like to make a form. A form means, yeah, you learn from the HTML. We want to input something. For example, I want to input the name. I want to input the salutation. I want to input the email. Okay. So let's say the user MGMT, I want to create a form. So let's create a new Python file. And let the name of the Python file is forms.py. So here I will make a new forms.py and then let be this the content. So I will create a new Python file in the user MGMT. I will make a new Python file and the Python file name is forms.py. And then I will do this one. So I will make a new class, which is the member form. And in the member form, I will need a meta class. This is a meta class for the member. So whenever I use this one, I will include all the fields from the member, and then I will like to make a form. After I have a form, okay, let's do one by one from the views, URLs, and HTML. So this is the create member. In the views.py, let me have a new function. It is to create a new member, and in order to create a new member, I would like to get the data from the member form. Okay, so I want to get the data from member form. Member form is from the user MGMT forms, and this member form will be needed for the host. So whenever I create a new data in the member form, it will be saved into this variable. If the form is valid, what does it mean by valid? So for example, if you are using email, then you need to put at. If you don't have any at, then it is not valid. For example, you have also integer. In this case, I don't have any integer. If I have integer field, okay, then it should be numbers. So you cannot put A, B, C. So if you put A, B, C in the integer, then it is not valid. So if it is valid, then save that one. And then go back to the list members. So list member means the name of the URL. Okay, now I'm going to use the render. So let's use this member form.html to connect to the form. And then let's use the form and the form here. Next, let's make a new link to the create member form. Okay. Let's just put this one into the urls.py. After I have this, then I will need to check the HTML. So in the HTML file, at the first time, you need to go to the list member.html. In the list member.html, you see the table. Okay. So in the table, you can look at the table header, ID, salutation, first name, last name, email. Okay. And then you have the member ID, salutation, first name, last name, email. Now I want to put one additional line. So this is button. You still remember button? Button means I want to click the button. So if I click the button, I will do add member. What is add member? The add member is this one, add member. So I want to add member, and then when I create the add member, I will connect to the function to add the member into the database. So I will add this one into the list member.html. So after the table, I will create this one, add member. So this is the new line. And I will make this member form.html. So member form.html. I will create it into the user MGMT. I will make a new HTML file, member form.html. So yeah, member form.html. Okay, let me explain a little bit this one. Okay, now let me run. So if I refresh, then you will see there is a new button here. There's a new button here, new member. And then when I click this new member, then you will go to a form. So this is just a basic form, and there is an input, salutation, first name, last name, and email. So I can input here. Let's say I have Esther. Maybe the other name is maybe PBCC. Email. Okay, anything. Okay. For example, abcd@abcd.com. Okay, let me try. If I want just type ABCD, what happens? If I save, then it is not valid. Why it is not valid? Because I want to make it as an email. As an email, you need to put the at. Okay, at least you need to have the symbol at. So abcd.com. Okay, any email will be okay. So if I save this now, it automatically creates a new data into the database, and now it shows on the web. Okay. So the explanation will be about the member form. So what is the member form? This is the member form. This is the form that we created before. This is the form here. We want to make the form. The form is something related with the data in the member. So we just call all. When we call all means we want to get the salutation, we want to get the first name, we want to get the last name, and we want to get the email. That's why we can see here when we click the new member, then you can see all the fields from the DB. Salutation, field name, last name, and email. Actually, you can also set up different way. For example, I do not want to show all. So I want to show only some particular. So let's say I skip the email. So I want to show only the salutation, the first name and last name. So I can again refresh when you I think I need to okay, I think this new version requires some more codes. Okay, so I think I will not exclude that one. You can put this one because it should be equal with the data. Okay, now I think it doesn't work. Sorry, because this is from the previous version of Django. So let me just use the field. Oh, this one. Sorry, because of the like what? Okay. Maybe this is not available anymore. So let me just use all. Okay. So I mean, I want to make all the fields in the database to be in this page. Okay. What happened? Okay. Okay. So let me just make it simple like this one. And the other thing is valid. So it is a function that returns Boolean true or false to confirm whether a form is valid or not. So I already show you if it is an email, so it will error if there is no app. Save. It is a function to execute the form and submit the data into the particular function. And redirect. It is function to execute HTML a file according to the name. So if you look at this use.py. So if the form is valid, then save the data and then redirect to the list member. List member is the name of this URLs. So I want to go back to this member list. To execute another URL, we can use the statement URL with the curly braces and write the address name as specified in the urls.py. So in the urls.py here, in the urls.py, you have this add member. So I'm making a link. So whenever you click this member link, then you will go to this add member. CSRF token. So this site generates a unique token when it makes the form page. So it means this token is required to post and get back to the server. So this CSRF token is located in the member form. So you can see here, there is a CSRF token. What is CSRF? This is CSRF. Cross-site request forgery. So this is the token built in by Django. So whenever you create a kind of form, so it requires this CSRF token. Since the token is generated by your site and provided only when the page with the form is generated, some other site cannot mimic your forms. So they won't have the token and therefore cannot post to your site. So usually you can use this kind of token. You can see here, if you go to your settings.py, if you go to setting.py, as I mentioned to you in the early class, you can see that this secret key. So every computer will have different secret key. Your computer will have secret key, my computer will have secret key, and every computer will have different secret key. So this secret key will be used in the CSRF token. And the last one, there is a simple JavaScript to return to the previous page without any submission. So if you look at the page member form, there's a button submit. So when we submit it, so we want to put the data into the database. So the database, this is the salutation. It will be in the form of salutation. This is the first name. It will be included in the form of first name. This is the last name. It will be included in the form last name. And this is email. It will be included in the form of email. If it is cancelled, so it means if I do not want to do anything, then I will just get back to the previous page. Or yeah, we want to go to the window history tab for the click. So onClick is a statement in JavaScript to execute a function whenever the element or the button is clicked. Okay. Okay, so let's stop here. Let's have a break. I will continue after the break.